What's good, guys? Max with the Parlay Princes. Today we're going to talk about a fighter that everyone knows. Love or hate him, he draws attention, but recently that attention has been backfiring on him. Backfiring like a 45-70. Before we start, guys, like the video if you have no idea what a 45-70 is.
Do you know what a 45-70 is?
Sub if you haven't. Let's start it up. Today we dive into the rise and fall of one of my favorite fighters, Kevin Trailblazer Holland. I almost used a voice changing device so he couldn't link this video back to me, but I changed my mind, so I think we're safe. Let's get into it. Holland is 26-13 in his pro MMA career, with 9 of his losses coming in the past 4 years. You can even say 10 possibly, because that Kyle Dawkins loss, even though it got turned to a no contest, he was losing that fight pretty aggressively in my eyes. But let's dive into how his UFC career started and what keeps him protected. Holland fought in Dana White Contender Series back in June of 2018 against Will Santiago.
Those of you that don't know the story, he was on the Contender Series. And he was a talented guy and he won his fight, but he wouldn't shut up. The entire fight he was talking to me, the whole fight. This guy comes in and is talking shit the entire fight. So I said, I'm not signing this guy. I don't want him. I'm not interested in him.
Shortly after that win, Dana needed someone to step in on 2 weeks' notice against Thiago Santos.
So I said, let's call some contender guys then that we liked. They all turned down the fight. I said, call Big Mouth. I want to see if Big Mouth takes this fight.
This is back when Santos was a demon in the UFC, beating people like GM3, Jack Hermanson, Anthony Smith. He would lose his fight by decision, but definitely put up a good fight against Santos. Here we have some Dana clips at the post-fight press conference of that fight.
Took the fight. Came in and fought the fight, still talking shit, okay? Took this fight on 2 weeks' notice and is still talking and saying, talking so much his mouthpiece fell out twice. But wow, he looked good.
The next year, he went 3-1, and then the historic 2025 fight win streak happened. He beat Anthony Hernandez, which has aged beautifully, slept Buckley bad with that straight punch, beat 2 random guys, and then he had that crazy performance against Jacare. That is one of my favorite performances ever. He was fighting a grappling demon, got it to the ground, had vicious elbows from his back, even got against the cage for a second, was close to a standing ghillie, got taken down again, and then the craziest, I don't know if you call it ground and pound when you're punching from your back, but we'll say ground and pound. I can't believe what I witnessed. Knocked the guy out from his back. Unbelievable performance. But then we saw the downfall start to occur. Lost to Old Man Brunson by getting hugged the whole fight. Lost to sloth-looking Vettori. And the Dawkins headbutt was bad. Although it was a no contest, Holland was definitely losing that fight. That's when I personally really started to see my guy Holland was slipping away from his demon self. Losing to Dawkins, who looks like a Harvard graduate, is not the best look. He's not even in the UFC anymore. He had 2 layups after that with Alex Oliveira and Tim Means, both not in the UFC anymore either. And only 3 months later, we saw that Chimaev loss. That was a weird occasion with 24 hours notice they switched the opponents. And Chimaev is going to do that to most people, especially those that openly say they don't practice grappling.
Have you studied a lot of his tape and fights?
No.
Then 3 months later again, we saw the Wonder Boy loss. That's another uphill battle for anyone, but we saw his ego step in by not shooting takedowns till the end. Is it cope? Is it lack of practice? Is it ego? Comment down below what you think. One thing we have to say about Holland is he's extremely active. The last 4 fights I named off were in 8 months of each other. 2023 started off good with nice wins over Ponzinibbio and Chiesa. We saw recently both guys are not done, even though they're older. But then the real shifting of tide started coming. I will start off by saying these 2 losses are against absolute demons. He had a decent striking battle for 15 minutes with JDM. That alone is tough for guys even like Randy Brown and Gilbert Burns. Then had another rough loss to MVP. I did feel bad for Holland in that one. After you get dominated by Wonder Boy, you basically have to fight Wonder Boy again, but his name is MVP this time. He got absolutely styled on in that fight. But to play devil's advocate, that's a rough style for most fighters. He beat Mikhail Olenjacek with a submission that some say was questionable. Did he tap? Did he not? Yes, he tapped. 4 months later, he lost to Dolidze because of a broken rib and couldn't continue. Some say he quit. Me personally, I'll accept that loss if he really broke his rib. I need to see that x-ray though soon, you heard? Especially because only 3 months later, he decides to fight RDR at UFC 311, which brings us here. Before we get into that, though, we have to talk about the infamous 45-70.
Unless we're sitting across the table, we're both shooting 45-70s. We're trying to see who can hit the target. I don't have much of an ego.
Well, I'm just.
Do you know what a 45-70 is?
I'm just telling.
Do you know what a 45-70 is?
I'm just telling my opinion. You gave your opinion about my temper tantrum.
Yeah, I mean, I feel you 100%.
Okay, it's an opinion,
I'm just
right?
saying, like, if it's not a 45-70 that we're shooting across the room, trying to see who hits the target, I'm not worried about it. Do you know what a 45-70 is?
This clip went pretty viral a few days before the fights. People were talking more about this clip than the fact that Moicano stepped in on short notice. I'm sure most have seen it, but I'll play a section of it here.
No, I don't.
Okay, then shut the fuck up.
You'll tell me shut the f up?
Yeah.
Because
You don't understand what a 45-70 is.
He doesn't know what a
You're talking
45
about ego. Now, I'm giving you some ego.
Okay, so-
Ego's when you don't understand what a 45-70 is.
Okay, so-
that pisses me off.
That piece, because I don't know what a 45-70 is.
That pisses my ego a little bit. What type of man are you don't know what a 45-70 is?
Because I don't know what a 45-70 is.
Yeah, that's kind of
It's retarded.
yeah.
People were just not happy with the fact that he was talking to a UFC legend, Rampage Jackson, like that. But also, he truly did not seem to care about the fight coming up. He said things like this.
There's just too many politics that come with being like, even really when you're ranked, if I'm being honest. It's like every time you get this number next to your name, then all of a sudden they start talking about the belt.
And this.
So for a guy who honestly doesn't truly enjoy the cardio aspect of training,
And even this.
coaches bring people in, say, hey, do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that. As soon as coach ain't looking, I'm like, do what you normally do. No reason.
Which left a sour taste in people's mouths. It really all fell on his performance in the nights to follow. If he wins, he's a hero. If he loses, he's washed. Saturday night came and Holland got subbed 3 minutes into round 1 by RDR. After saying things like,
Did you have to bring in people to kind of prep for a grappler like him?
No, probably grappled less getting ready for this guy.
and
If he subs me, that'd be crazy. I don't think he does anything that great on the ground.
people really started to take notice of his words versus performances. It seemed now more than ever, our beloved 5-0 streak fighter from 2020 was just showing up for paychecks. Another big issue people have is they just see the things he says as cope. He has said multiple times he doesn't care about the belt.
What would you say right now your goal is in the UFC? Because we know you don't want to be champ. You've said it multiple times.
He even got mad at a news reporter for mentioning the belt.
Why are you not focused on the belt? Like, why is that something that doesn't?
Why are you guys so focused on the belt all the time? Like,
Well, I
excuse my language, but why are you so focused on the belt? I just told you I'm not worried about the belt, and you go back and repeat, ask me about the belt. Like, I'm not worried about the belt.
With Holland being 1-4 in his last 5 fights, it's definitely enough to get anyone cut from the UFC. But remember all those short notice favors Kevin did for Dana? It seems he definitely played his cards right earlier in his career. And it also seems like he knows he's safe from being fired. Him and Dana even used to exchange gifts that were shoes a few times. Dana would buy him an exotic shoe, and then Kevin would do the same. They're basically friends. Amongst the negative backlash, we've seen some Holland YouTube videos pop up. They all basically start off saying the same thing. Holland, we are huge fans. We just want to see the demon back. Please, Holland. Please. Although Holland is getting a lot of heat right now, I'm sure he could turn it around with a few bounce back wins. The question is, does he get them? Comment down below, guys, your thoughts. Like and subscribe for future content. I appreciate y'all for being here. Peace.